Hello, HCST. Welcome back from summer break. I wanted to make this video to walk you through the process of setting up your SGOs on our Linkit platform. Okay, so first, in case you didn't remember, the website you want to go to is hcst.linkit.com. Now you're taken to the sign-in page. You can type in your username and password, or you can just hit sign in with Google right at the bottom and it will take you to the platform. Now you might notice that the platform looks a little bit different. All right, there was an update over the summer and the Linkit platform is going to function the same way, but it's going to have this new updated interface. If you remember, the last interface had all of the tabs to click across the top. Now they're going to be on the side. So just hover over the first one that says reporting, click on it, and then go to SGO Manager. Okay? If you are math, English, or science, right, we're going to be using the dashboard a lot for our online testing and our Linkit testing. But for everybody else, the only thing you need to use on this platform is SGO Manager. Unless you want to put one of your tests on here, you can reach out to me later and I'll show you how to do that. All right, but for now, SGO Manager, just click on that. Okay, you won't see this whole top section on the top. That is just the filters for me. But what you want to do is you want to go right down here where it says SGO Home, go all the way over to the right, and click on Add a new SGO. Okay. So the setup for this, again, is going to be very similar. Your SGO needs to have a name. Okay, let's call it 2023 SGO1. Probably should name it after the class that you're working in or what you're trying to show growth on instead of something generic so you know what you're talking about, when you know what you're looking at when you go back and look at it later. Start date. We'll start it today. We'll end it end of the year, June 3rd. Okay. Who is this SGO targeting? Right? Is it targeting just ninth graders, just freshmen, or is it targeting a group? Do you have a mixed set of classes? Okay. So let's pretend that I have a group of just 9th and 10th graders in my class. Okay. Do not click this box unless I have told you to do so. Okay. This is special cases if you do not have a roster on PowerSchool, which should not be very many people in the district. Okay. Hit create. Now you can filter your students and you can select different classes. Okay. So we're going to click my 2023, 2024 schedule. I'm going to go for this Algebra 1 section right there. I can show students to be sure that these are all my students. And hopefully with our new update with Linkit, when they set up our reporting for this year, these will look a little bit different and you'll be able to see a little bit more information on this screen. If not, if you know you teach Algebra 1, right? This is in Algebra 1, Section 1. You might have to click on the couple different versions of this to find the correct students in your class, right? And you just click on Show Students to show those students, okay? If you want to turn one of the students off because you don't want to measure growth for that particular student, you can do that now, or we can, adjust this later. Move to the next section. And you can see the top right here sort of has this trail that you follow to fill in all these different pieces of the SGO. Okay. We are going to go up to admin review in the fall. And then in the spring, we progress monitor, score, and have a final sign off. Okay. So we do have to fill in all of this data right now. Okay. So once you select all of the students, and you can click on another class, right? You can click on, all right, I want these students as well. And I want to have another whole group of students, right? You can have more than one. You could have more than one section active. right? So we can have possibly all of these students be part of our SGO, right? Every Algebra 1 section that you have. All right, save and continue. Okay, so now we get to the bigger part of the SGO, your pre-assessment, your post-assessment, and any notes that you want to put in for these things. Pre-assessment, you need to add a data point. What kind of data point is it? Is it a Linkit pre-test? Select this. Is it a external test, something that you have given your students on paper? You can select that. Any of these in the middle you can do, but those are going to be the two ones that we are primarily going to use. Either a Linkit benchmark test as your SGO or an external test. So let me start with the external test, because if you click the benchmark, we haven't actually done the benchmarks yet. Okay? So select the subject. Select the subject that you are in. I will just select math. Grade. What grade is this SGO for? I believe that I selected 9th and 10th graders. That's not really an option here, so I'll just put 9 through 12. And then do not pick any names of old tests that you might have had, right? Because then it will use the data from that test. So I always want to add a new test on every part of this input process. So I'm going to add a new test. Again, putting a year is a good idea. So that way, when you go back and look at this next year, the year after, you're not confused about which test you are using for your SGO this year. Algebra 1, SGO. And of course, I can't type. There we go. Add supporting documentation. Okay. Here is where you upload whatever test that you are giving as an external test. Okay. This way, anybody can go back and check to see what is the assessment that you're giving. What are you trying to show growth on? Total points possible. Now, you don't have to do this, but it would be my suggestion to make the total points possible 100. This makes everything easier later when you're trying to figure out what your scoring plan is going to be. Okay, if you want to make your test out of 20 or 25, that is fine. You just have to remember that later when you're going to pick your goals. Okay, so total points possible 100. Date of results, when are you giving this test? Let's say I'm giving it the third week of school. Okay, you can type in student results, very simple. This is an Excel table, so you can drag and drop if you have a lot of people with the same. Probably most students are going to be doing pretty poorly on the first test and then better on the second one, and we'll look at that when we go to how to score this. Okay, so we've now saved this data point. It's only got a few scores in it. I'll come back and I'll put in the scores later. Okay, the next part is my post-assessment. Well, you're not doing your post-assessment until the spring, but you still have to tell the system that. So a post-assessment will be created later. Okay. Okay. And again, briefly justify how the proposed assessment instrument will provide an accurate measure of student performance, right? These are the, you can put in the standards that you're trying to show growth on and why you chose those standards and how this will show growth from one to the next. Okay. Again, this is very simple. Math, subject, grade. I chose 9 to 12. Test. We can just leave that blank. No, test, post, test. What a year. Okay. We're probably going to have to fix that again when we actually change this selection from to be created. When we actually put our test in, we might have to change this again, but it's okay. All right, so let's save it and continue. Our next tab that we have to fill out is preparedness groups. You can make as many groups of students as you want. Do you want the high performing group to have a higher score than a middle performing group and a lower performing group? You can do that. Or you can keep it nice and simple and just set up one group. So I'm going to add one group to this, and I'm going to call it my full class. Save it, and all I have to do is collect all students and add them to the selected group. All right, so now everybody is put in my whole class. They're all in one group. This is the simplest way to do it. Again, if you want to make a tiered SGO with more than one group, you're perfectly capable, or that's fine. It is just a little bit more complicated, but if that's what you want, feel free to contact me and I will help you set that up. But let's just go on with the simple group here. I'm going to hit continue, save, of course, every time it asks you. And we now go to the scoring plan. You have three types of scoring plans that you can check. We really don't want to use the manual scoring method unless I've told you that's what you should use. The top is the most common. The top one is a number percentage of students will achieve a score of X on the post-assessment. So what that means is that you are saying that everybody in your class is going to get this grade on the post-assessment. It doesn't take in what they got on the pre-assessment. All it says is you are going to get this on the post-assessment. Okay, that's the most common. I'm going to leave that clicked off, set target. And again, I'm going to say that everybody is going to get above X, above a score of X, above a score of 70. So when I save that, my target score is now 70. 63 out of the 74 people are going to get above a 70 for me to get a four points on this SGO. 52 out of the 74 people are going to get above a 70 for me to get a 3 on my SGO. And then my partial and my insufficient, right? You don't want to get that. You can change these if you don't think 52. Now let's change this to maybe 65 of my students. Right? And now we see that only 49% of the people have to get above a 70. The reason why I said make your SGO out of 100 is if your SGO test was 20 points and you put that they're going to get above a 70, this is not a percentage. This is a target score. So if my SGO is out of 20, maybe I want everybody to get a 15. Right? And so you need to change this target score if your test is not out of 100 points. Okay, that's the first type of scoring plan. Okay, the next one is based on the pre-assessment, some number of students will improve by X. Okay, so based on the pre-assessment, whatever pre-assessment you just set up, okay, how many points do I want the students to improve by? If I leave this at 15, that means that whatever they got on the first test, in order for them to pass my SGO, they need to score 15 points better, right? This is something you don't want to put a 74, right? You're not set that by clicking off this second choice here. You're not saying, I want everybody to get a 70. That's the first one. The second one says, based on the pre-assessment, I want everybody to improve by 70 points. Probably not going to happen. Okay. So make sure you think about how you are setting this up. And the last one is a number of students will achieve X out of Y on the post-assessment. That's kind of almost pretty similar to the first one. I would just remember the first one. Remember what you made your test out of. If you made it out of 100 points, if you made it out of 50 points, whatever, and just use the first one. And again, don't use the manual scoring method unless you've talked to me and I've told you that's what you have to do. I don't really have to put any notes. Let's change this back to minimum score of 70. You don't really have to have any notes right here. So we'll save this. Okay. You are now done with the SGO. Click submit and submit it to whomever your principal has designated you submit your SGOs to. Okay. That is the process for the fall. In the spring, we'll come back and do the admin review happens outside of what you would see. We'll come back in the spring and I'll show you how to do the progress monitor and score and final sign off. Remember that you need to do 2 of these. So once you are done, goal saved. Once you are done, you can just go back to the beginning and add a new SGO, and you should see both of them once you get to the minor and draft. So once you get to the end of this, you'll see both of your drafts on the table right here. That's it. That's how you set up your SGOs for the year. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. My extension is 8229 if you want to give me a call in the office. And I will be happy to answer any of your questions and help you set up your SGO if you need it. Thank you. Hope everyone has a great year.